Well, how can they afford it all? That's a question being asked to all the parties. They can't, they won't, their promises are all empty, totally and utterly meaningless. To pretend that the UK government is the master of our country's destiny is a deception. Schools, post offices, hospitals, the law, the economy, business, trade, agriculture, everything in some way is connected to Brussels. Westminster have so few powers left to enforce policy. It's all just talk. That's why the central issue in this election must be EU membership. UKIP are the only party to represent the majority view on this. Repeatedly, the British public show in polls and debates they do not want to be controlled by Brussels. Bearing in mind that the level of control the European Union exercises over us is heavily concealed. I am certain that figure would be far, far higher if the British government had been honest with its people. None of the parties are suggesting we would save 10 billion a year alone in EU membership, currently affording schools, post offices, hospitals, new businesses, better roads, trade and agriculture in the other 26 member states. You pay for all that. Why are they giving your money to them when we so desperately need it here? Why should you, the British taxpayer, have to level off wealth across Europe when you're struggling to make ends meet? That's why the UK has never seen a referendum on Europe. We would all want out, but it's not going to happen unless you vote UKIP. Without doubt, a key issue in this year's election is immigration. Under the Labour government, millions of people came to live in the UK to enjoy a standard of living paid for by you. Every person living here, sending money back to their home country, is plundering the real economy, money earned and spent in Britain like a constantly dripping tap. The immigration policies of the other parties are like saying, we'll monitor who comes in through the back door, but leave the front door wide open for anyone in Europe who wishes to come in. They mean nothing at all while free movement of people in the European Union continues to see thousands file into the UK every day, looking to enjoy our higher wages, child support, free medical care, free education and all things our country has to offer. Yes, we believe the UK is great, and yes, lots of people want to come and live here. But it's your country, but we won't be able to support ourselves if the population gets much bigger. That's why we want a 5-year freeze on anyone wanting to settle here. There's not enough space, there are not enough jobs, there are not enough hospital beds, school places, social housing, and money to go around. We spend millions on translation costs, welfare support to children who don't even live in the UK, and have seen our national identity crumble at the mercy of political correctness. Who are we? What will we become? We are told if we leave the European Union, we'll be nothing. Who says? We have the 6th largest economy in the world. London is the global financial capital. We are a member of the G8 and one of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. It is Europe who needs us, not us who need them. This is clear, even by glancing at the Brussels budget. We put far more in than anybody else and get far less back. Westminster are giving your money to Brussels, you give it to people who live thousands of miles away. I'm going to be totally straight with you, it simply has to stop. Some 120,000 directives from Brussels shape your daily life. You won't see any of these appearing in the manifesto of the other parties because there is absolutely nothing at all a UK government can do if we don't leave the European Union. The hours you work, the price you pay to heat your house, the food you buy and eat, even the very laws that govern you, you are expected to live are now made outside the UK. It takes one judge in Luxembourg to overturn a British legal ruling, and hundreds of years of British justice are reduced to nothing. In truth, Westminster has about as much power as a corridor prefect in school when the headmaster lives in Brussels. The true cost of EU membership to the UK is around £120 billion a year. If we left the EU, not only would we be able to control our future once more, every man, woman and child would directly benefit from all the money we could put back into the lives of each and every individual who contributes to life in the UK. But we're not a party that simply wants to leave the European Union. It is necessary to do this first and foremost, but there are plenty more areas in which we represent the unrepresented. We speak for everyone who feels that nobody speaks for them. We believe in selective education, nuclear power, an end to so-called devolution and unnecessary overgovernance. We are committed to policies that will directly affect Wales, policies that will strengthen communities, enrich lives, protect individual interest and inspire the young, policies that actually mean something. Take nuclear power. We have always been proponents of this high efficient, advanced renewable energy as opposed to the inefficient, costly, unreliable and ugly wind turbines that blight the horizon. It may have been fashionable to stick turbines everywhere, but it was premature and silly. Look at the announcement of a new power station at Wilver. This will bring hundreds of much needed jobs to the area and provide renewable electricity for thousands and thousands of homes. Now let's look at devolution for a second. We are the only party in Wales that say no to the Welsh Assembly. No to more jobs for the boys. No to costly overgovernance and make-believe democracy. No to the serving political elite. We would retain the Welsh Assembly building, but replace the representatives with Welsh MPs. Most people in Wales are currently represented by around 8 elected politicians each, with 20 more Assembly seats likely to be created under devolution plans. This is wasteful and unnecessary governance, watering down politics and creating apathy when the general public don't understand who represents them and how. Our manifesto is straight talking, honest, clear and simple, and we believe it speaks on behalf of the majority of people who say the policies of the other parties bear little resemblance to the issues that matter to them. We want to protect the lowest earners from jobs tax and encourage more people to leave the welfare state and find employment. We want to get rid of the unnecessary quangos and the related non-jobs that define our economy and are under threat from Westminster cuts. 1 in 4 people are paid directly out of taxpayers' money. It's a false economy. We want instead to get these people into jobs into skilled manufacturing and business, created by scrapping EU red tape and attracting industries back to the UK. We no longer make anything here, and that is a disaster, post-recession in a global economy. We also believe we should have closer links with the Commonwealth. We would establish free trade with 53 other Commonwealth countries. The Commonwealth has been shamefully betrayed and neglected by previous governments, yet we share a common language. Legal and democratic systems account for 1/3 of the world's population and 1/4 of all its trade, including countries like India, soon to be the world's 2nd largest economy. We will be tough on crime. Under the existing Human Rights Act, the privilege of the criminal are often put above the needs of the victim. This has to stop. By leaving the EU, we can once again enforce strict and realistic measures for tackling crime and supporting communities. We want to rebalance the law to protect people defending their homes, ensure life means life, double prison places, introduce boot camps for young offenders, and allow national referenda on controversial public law. We are proud of the NHS and believe high-quality healthcare should be available to all. We wouldn't cut frontline services, but we would substantially reduce NHS waste and bureaucracy and the stranglehold of targets that jeopardise patient care. We want to restore free dental checks and eye tests for every citizen in the UK. We believe in a strong and varied education system, giving choice back to parents and students. We would retain existing grammar schools and build new ones, insist on higher qualifications for teachers, scrap the nonsensical targets of getting half of all our young people into universities when apprenticeships and professional training is better suited to a greater majority. We would return to the grant system as opposed to loans that leave so many unemployed graduates in debt. Our benefit system is out of control. We want to simplify it and get people off long-term welfare and back into work. We also want to make sure welfare support goes to people who need it and people who can prove they are living in Britain. By leaving the EU, we could have a thriving agricultural sector, a protected fishing industry without waste and overfishing. We could have open trade, exploring better ways to attract industries to this country, and would become the backbone of proud and prosperous communities. People in Britain have lost faith, not just in politics, but in their own country. While so many people are clamouring to get in, more and more of us are becoming disenfranchised by remote governance from Brussels and self-interested politicians in Westminster. We pledge to put country before party. We pledge to put UK before Europe. We pledge to put you first. Thank you.